Hi, my name is Krzysztof Piskorski and I'm the lead writer and co-designer of ISS Vanguard. To mark the opening of our ISS Vanguard Pledge Manager, we thought it would be a nice idea if I could talk you through some of the most interesting and biggest additions we made to the game in recent months. In January, when our GameFound campaign has concluded, we were left with tons of feedback from you, from the prototype reviewers, and we also had our own list of things we would love to do with the game. And over the course of several previous months, we were able to do just that. If you follow our ISS Vanguard updates, you've already seen that we made several tweaks and changes to the core parts of the game, and in this video I will focus on the ones I think personally are the most interesting and will have the biggest influence on your experience when playing the game. The first of those is quite close to my heart. In the original game, in the prototype you've seen in December, the game began with a cinematic introduction that shows ISS Vanguard arriving at divine coordinates, finding a cloaked Dyson sphere left by this mysterious race of the aliens, and receiving a message that turns out to contain a list of coordinates, a list of alien worlds that Vanguard goes on to explore. The actual gameplay began when you were landing on the first of these worlds. It was okay, but it did require a fair bit of exposition and explanation before the start of the game. It required us to tell you what ISS Vanguard is, what was its core mission, to basically show you or talk you through everything that happened when Vanguard reached its first objective and decided to explore the planets from the list. And we had another small gameplay related issue. Now, the original starting tutorial planet had to bring you up to speed with several important gameplay mechanics over the course of just one planetary exploration. It did work, players could learn to play the game that way, but we thought it would be nice to solve both problems at the same time by moving the actual start of the gameplay a little bit earlier. And to show you some of these core events rather than talk through them, and to give you an opportunity to learn the rules of the game in a more gradual manner. And this is exactly what happened. The first starting mission now takes place as ISS Vanguard approaches the divine coordinates, finds this cloak, the Dyson sphere, and sends a scouting party to its surface to see if this object is safe to approach. And what follows is a short, tense tutorial mission that uses only the basic game rules, such as movement on the planet board, resolving actions, and after that you have a tutorial ship phase that only goes through several pages of the shipbook that asks you to fill the shipbook page by page, and again it's filled with some story bits, with some choices. Previously you had to learn the entire planetary exploration from just one mission, an entire shipbook from just one ship phase. Now it's spread over 3 planetary explorations and 2 ship phases, leading to a more gradual and much easier entry into the game. But if you are an experienced player and if you do not wish to replay these starting planets again, naturally there will be a way to skip them in your campaign and to start from one of the more advanced planets using the basic game rules instead of the tutorial text. The second change we did is related to Diceplay. Now, if you remember, everything in ISS Vanguard revolves around the dice. Each special action is resolved with dice. Most of the section cards or items somehow relate to dice rolls, and even though our basic dice mechanic worked well and it was generally well received, we knew that for the game of this length we need more. We need ways to surprise players, to challenge them tactically. So a lot of the development went into additional types of point of interest cards, into various interesting dice-based puzzles that you will meet when you explore the planets. You could have seen our entire new type of point of interest card, a card with a track that's progressed for every occurrence of a certain icon or a combination of icons in your roll, promoting those large, satisfying dice rolls. This made planets more varied, more interesting tactically, but we did not stop here. We also wanted to give players a chance to trigger something more with their dice roll, something that will shake up the situation on the planet, something that will be, a nice bonus on top of everything you were able to achieve in your action. And that's why every single section card in the game now contains a dice combination, just like in games like Dice Poker. This combination is resolved once you finish your roll and before you clear away your dice. Some of those combinations might refresh a die or two, they might give you a cool bonus, but some of them are really hard to pull off and are quite game-changing. Our designers proposed a long list of varied interesting bonuses, and since section cards change from turn to turn, every turn in front of you, you have a different selection of these bonuses that you can gain with your rolls. But we wanted planets to be more dynamic, not only on a roll-by-roll basis. We also wanted planets to change more as players explore them. If you remember, in our previous prototype, each planet had a travel rule. Some planets were easy to travel through, some were perilous to travel through, but this rule did not change much once it was introduced for the planet. Now, with the introduction of a new card type, global condition cards that replaced event cards we had previously, we now have changing conditions on most of the planets. For example, on a volcanic planet, most of the time you can have good conditions where the travel is easy and safe. But sometimes, depending on the progress of your time tracks on the planet, another condition will trigger, for example, violent eruptions that makes travel extremely dangerous, but gives you, for example, a very nice bonus you can strive for, or changes your rolls in some way, or introduces a new dice combination that you can gain with each and every roll you make on the planet board. And these new point of interest types, coupled with dice combinations on section cards and in other places, and coupled with changing global conditions on the planet, led to a more strategically interesting planets with better replayability. Because sometimes the things that will happen when you explore the planet with the same group twice will shake up a fair bit, depending on the conditions or on the dice combinations that you may roll, or on the semi-random quests that you can trigger while exploring. Apart from these changes to starting experience and to the core dice mechanic, we also wanted to refine the shipbook. The shipbook, as you know, is one of the core elements of ISS Vanguard. It allows you to basically grow your ship throughout the campaign, to research new technologies, manufacture new upgrades and gear, and we worked on Shipbook to cut down the time it takes to resolve a full ship phase, to promote interactions between players. We did many small rule tweaks, but I think the biggest of those is the introduction of crew assignments. And that's what I will focus on now. Crew assignments are the way you can put your crew to work on ISS Vanguard to achieve many interesting bonuses. Previously, we just had one page with slots for crew member cards, and once you fill them up, you gained bonuses, and it was a way to use some of your idle crew. But it happened only on one page of the shipbook, and it was limited to just 5 or 6 postings players could compete for. Now you can spend as many available crew members as you want throughout the ship phase. Basically every part of the shipbook has a place where you can, for example, put a crew member to work to reduce cost of scanning a planet, put a crew member to work to help another wounded crew member recover, to reduce the cost of researching new technology, to help you with recruitment, to help you with buying new dice for your section. So crew members essentially became this currency that's spent during the ship phase. Naturally, they are renewable currency. Once they are posted, they return to you rested on the next ship phase. And what's really interesting is the fact that players can assign their crew members to help other players, promoting cooperation and leading to some over-the-table gameplay where, for example, you need another player to help you with his rank 3 crew member because you have an assignment that requires a rank 3 officer, but in return you will help them during the next ship phase with some of your crew members. And we think it leads to a more engaging and interesting shipbook experience. It's important to mention that during all of this work on core gameplay elements, we were also expanding the content of the game, the scope of the content. So we have many new cool planets, like the planet that you've seen during the GameFound campaign as Mossy Inferno, this lush world with very high oxygen levels, very prone to sudden flash fires, like our new very tense ISS Vanguard defense scenario, like our new icy biome where we have this very interesting water-based environment on the surface of ice. Everything I talked about today will soon be tested by real players such as you. Because for the first time in history of Awakened Realms, we are doing a very large round of blind testing with a new and updated prototype right in the middle of the game development, where we are basically now. So, usually we would show the game to the world at the start, right at the start, before the crowdfunding campaign. Then the game would be developed in-house and tested in-house, and then once the game was finished, we would release it for a round of blind testing and external testing. But we hold to our commitment to test even more than during the previous games and even earlier than during the previous games. And that's why we are now building 15 new prototypes that include everything you've seen, new planets, new Diceplay mechanics, new starting experience with new tutorials, every little change that was listed recently in ISS Vanguard updates, and we're going to ship these boxes to real players, some of whom are probably watching these videos. Now, unfortunately, since we can only manufacture a limited amount of prototypes, we could not involve everyone, but if you're not one of the chosen blind testers, do not worry, you will be able to see parts of this new prototype during live playthroughs that will happen live around the same time. And I think that's everything I have for you today. If you liked this diary, if you'd like to see more diaries like this one, or if you'd like to see a video diary focused on a certain specific element of the game, do let us know. I would like to remind you that the pledge manager is now open, so if you want to customize your pledge, now is the best time to do it. If you're one of the blind testers who will soon receive the prototype, well, we eagerly await your feedback. And that's all I have for today. See you again soon, and I hope you'll stay tuned to more ISS Vanguard diaries and updates.